In the late 13th century, Anatolia, what we now know as modern-day Turkey, was a land gripped by turmoil and uncertainty. The region, once a crossroads of empires and cultures, was now fractured and restless, its future hanging in the balance. The once mighty Seljuk Sultanate of Rum, which had dominated Anatolia for generations, was collapsing under relentless Mongol invasions. Their authority faded, leaving behind abandoned cities and shattered fortresses, and creating a dangerous power vacuum across the land. Into this chaos swept Turkoman tribes, nomadic peoples renowned for their skill in battle and their fierce independence. Led by ambitious beys, these warriors seized the moment, carving out small principalities known as beyliks, each determined to secure its own destiny. These beyliks clashed constantly, not only with each other but also with the weakened Byzantines. The Byzantine Empire, still reeling from the devastating sack of Constantinople in 1204, struggled to maintain even a fragile grip on its Anatolian territories. The region became a patchwork of rival strongholds and fortified towns, each vying for survival, dominance, and the chance to shape the future of Anatolia. Yet, in the midst of this instability, opportunity flourished. The chaos of the era allowed new leaders to rise from humble beginnings, their ambitions fueled by the promise of power and legacy. Amidst the ruins of two declining empires, the land itself seemed to be waiting for a new force to emerge, one that could unite the fractured peoples and restore order to the region. In this volatile borderland where danger and opportunity walked hand in hand, one small beylik would begin a journey that would ultimately change the course of world history. This was the world Osman Gazi was born into, a world of chaos, shifting alliances and constant struggle, but also a world brimming with immense possibility for those bold enough to seize it. For the daring and the visionary, Anatolia was not just a land of conflict, it was a land of opportunity waiting for a new chapter to be written. In the frontier town of Sogut, Osman, son of Ertugrul Gazi, rose to lead the Kai tribe. Inheriting his father's legacy, Osman quickly proved himself a charismatic and strategic leader. He built alliances with other Turkoman tribes, Muslim religious leaders, and even disillusioned Byzantine warriors. These alliances, known as the Gazi Brotherhoods, united warriors under a shared code of honor and conquest. Osman's raids into Byzantine lands were more than plundering. They tested defenses, rewarded followers, and attracted new warriors. Each victory enhanced his reputation as a holy warrior and leader. His forces grew from a tribal warband into a disciplined army. What set Osman apart was his vision. He dreamed of a stable state uniting the frontier peoples. This vision, rooted in justice and divine purpose, drove every move he made. Osman sought not just survival but the foundation of a lasting domain. His ambition would shape the destiny of Anatolia. One legend defines Osman's legacy, the story of his dream. This tale, passed down through generations, became the foundation of Ottoman identity and ambition. While staying with Sheikh Edebali, a revered spiritual leader, Osman experienced a vision that would shape history. In his dream, a luminous moon rose from the chest of the sheikh and entered his own, filling him with light. From Osman's heart, a mighty tree sprang forth, its branches spreading wide, casting shade over mountains, rivers, and distant lands. Edebali interpreted the dream with great wisdom. The moon represented his own daughter, who was destined to become Osman's wife. The tree symbolized the vast empire that would grow from their union, its roots deep in Anatolia and its branches reaching across continents. This vision gave Osman a profound sense of divine mandate, transforming him from a local tribal chief into the chosen founder of a new world order. He believed he was destined to lead his people to greatness. The dream unified his followers, inspiring them with a higher purpose. It was more than a personal prophecy. It became a rallying cry for all who sought justice, unity, and a brighter future. They fought not just for land or wealth, but to build a just, divinely ordained empire. The dream instilled in them a sense of mission, courage, and hope that endured through hardship and battle. The story became the guiding star for the Ottomans, encapsulating their ambition for justice and global reach. It was a legend that shaped their laws, their conquests, and their vision of the world. Osman's dream was not just about personal glory, it was the blueprint for an empire that would endure for centuries, influencing cultures and shaping history. The conquest of Yenişehir would be the first step in making that dream real, marking the beginning of a journey that would change the fate of nations. The legend of Osman's dream fueled the rise of a world power, inspiring generations to pursue greatness and leave their mark on history. To realize his vision, Osman needed more than followers. He needed a strategic base, a place that could anchor his ambitions and provide a foundation for lasting power. The early days of his leadership were marked by constant movement and uncertainty, but Osman understood that to build something enduring, he would have to secure a stronghold that could serve as both a shield and a beacon for his people. His eye fell on Yenişehir, a fortress perfectly placed between the Byzantine cities of Bursa and Nicaea. Its location was no accident. This was a crossroads of cultures, armies, and trade, a place where the fate of empires could be decided. Controlling Yenişehir would disrupt Byzantine communications and supply lines, isolating their strongholds. It would allow Osman to cut off reinforcements and supplies, weakening his enemies from within and making future conquests more achievable. The fertile plain around the fortress promised food security and encouraged settlement, vital for transforming nomads into a stable society. Here, Osman's followers could farm, raise families, and build a new life, turning the land into a source of strength for generations. Capturing Yenişehir would mark a shift from raiding to state building. It was a bold step, signaling that Osman was no longer just a tribal leader, but a founder with a vision for a new order. It would be the first major Byzantine fortress to fall to Osman, signaling his rise to rivals and allies alike. The news would travel fast, inspiring his followers and striking fear into the hearts of his adversaries. The conquest would prove Osman's ability to conduct sieges, not just raids. It would demonstrate his tactical skill, his patience, and his determination to hold what he had won. Politically, it would elevate his prestige above other beys. Success at Yenişehir would make Osman a leader to be reckoned with, attracting new allies and followers eager to join his cause. Yenişehir was the linchpin for military, economic, and political transformation. Its capture would open the door to further expansion and lay the groundwork for a new state. It was not just another target, it was the key to Osman's ambitions, the place where dreams of empire would begin to take shape. The fortress was essential for the next phase of Ottoman expansion. Without it, the path forward would be uncertain and fraught with risk. Yenişehir was the cornerstone of a new state, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the birth of an empire that would change history. Attacking Yenişehir required careful planning. Osman's light cavalry excelled at raids, but sieges demanded patience and strategy. He isolated the fortress, raiding the countryside, seizing crops and cutting off supplies. The goal: starve out the defenders and weaken their morale. Osman offered terms of surrender, mixing threats with promises of mercy to sow division inside the walls. His men scouted for weaknesses, gathering intelligence and exploiting local sympathizers. The siege was as much psychological as military, wearing down resistance over time. By the time Osman was ready to strike, he knew the fortress inside and out. The noose tightened, and the fate of Yenişehir hung in the balance. Osman's methodical approach set the stage for victory. The storm was about to break. The fall of Yenişehir around 1301 was not a bloody assault but the result of Osman's patient strategy. Cut off and demoralized, the Byzantine commander surrendered rather than face destruction. Legends tell of daring night raids and clever feints, but the essence was Osman's use of surprise and deception. He preferred outwitting enemies to brute force. The capture was relatively bloodless, with generous terms for the Christian inhabitants. They kept their property and faith, provided they accepted Ottoman rule and paid tax. This policy of tolerance made future conquests easier. Osman's reputation for justice and mercy spread quickly. Yenişehir's capture showcased his strategic brilliance. The conquest of Yenişehir marked a turning point for Osman Beylik. He moved his capital from Sogod to the newly captured fortress, signaling a shift from nomadic tribe to settled state. From Yenişehir, Osman established a formal administration, appointing governors and judges, and organizing a disciplined army. The fertile lands were distributed to loyal commanders, cementing their support. The town grew into a proper Islamic city, accelerating the sedentarization of the Ottomans. Yenişehir became the crucible of Ottoman identity, a stable, cohesive society bound by shared laws and faith. The move sent a powerful message. The Ottomans were now a permanent force in Anatolia. To rivals and allies alike, Osman was no longer just another bey. He was the ruler of a nascent state. The conquest gave Osman the foundation to pursue his imperial ambitions. Yenişehir was the first true capital of the Ottoman state. With Yenişehir secure, Osman set his sights on Bursa, the region's greatest prize. Yenişehir became the base for a long, patient siege of Bursa, applying the same strategy of isolation perfected at the fortress. Ottoman forces controlled the roads, built forts, and choked off supplies to the city. The fortress shielded the Ottoman heartland, allowing the siege to proceed without fear of counterattack. Yenişehir became a logistical hub, stockpiling troops and supplies for the campaign. The drawn-out siege forced the Ottomans to develop new military techniques and organization. When Bursa finally fell to Osman's son Orhan, it was the culmination of a strategy that began at Yenişehir. The small fortress had unlocked the door to a major imperial capital. Yenişehir was the stepping stone to empire. The legacy of Osman's conquest of Yenişehir echoes through centuries of Ottoman history. Today, Yenişehir stands as a testament to that pivotal moment. Osman Gazi is remembered as the founder of a dynasty that ruled for over 6 centuries. His name became synonymous with the empire, Osmanli or Ottoman. The legend of his dream and the conquest of Yenişehir became the foundation myths of the empire. Osman's methods, strategy, patience and mercy, were repeated as the empire expanded.